Today on Locked On Red Wings, the Tigers trade for Austin Meadows. Psych, we're going to preview the matchup against the Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty, of course, having one hell of a day over at Locked On Tigers. He's got his shades on. He's wearing his Giovanni Smith jersey. And I heard a rumor, Scotty, and by rumor, I mean confirmed source being you, that big Tigers trade happened mid-recording for you today.
Yeah, it's already up. At the time of this recording, it's already up, actually. But yes, I was recording a Monday night episode because I was on a plane and had to go to bed like way early, and I was out of town and coming back into town on Sunday and Monday. So I was going to make up for that by doing a Monday night episode. And it just happened so that my crazy travel schedule led to me being able to record. And it was it was perfect. It was literally perfect. Like, it was mid-recording, but it was only like 3 or 4 minutes in. It wasn't, like toward the end or halfway through. So the whole episode is just me freaking out initial reaction to Austin Meadows being a Detroit Tiger.
Well, and so obviously this is huge. He had, I think, 27 home runs last year. He struck out quite a bit.
He had over a 920 OPS as a 24-year-old rookie in 2019. Like he's on.
You traded like nothing for him. You traded Isak Paredes, who's 20th ranked prospect in the Tigers system right now. But he kind of his development hasn't been going the way the Tigers had hoped, I think, is what I had read. This is all based on things I've read on Twitter.
That's pretty accurate. So he was called up with, and I don't want to make this we
can do it. I don't care. I want to talk about it too. Big. I'm a Tigers fan.
So Paredes gets called up the same day as Mize and Skubal. It's literally like forever. I said this on my show, like forever inked in history. Those three names all got called up the same day in 2020. And Paredes immediately impressed people, being like 19, 20 years old and already having like a great sense of the strike zone. People were really pumped about him and still are. And he's still so young. He's only 22 still. And it's just the power never developed. I don't know if it's a batting stance thing or just the way his stroke is or what, but his power never even remotely developed. It's like kind of unbelievable how little power he generates. And to the point where he would, square up a ball and it would be a soft grounder to third. And you're like, okay, well, what are we doing here? You're getting the bat on the ball. That's great. But that next step in development was to be able to drive the ball more, and he never got around to that. And he's still only 22. Like he could be in AAA for the Rays for 3 years and still come up at 25. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of time for him to develop still. And the Rays are them and the Dodgers are the two best at developing players probably in all of baseball. So like he'll have an opportunity to get better, and I don't think we should count him out or anything. But in terms of just straight up Isak Paredes for Austin Meadows for 3 years of team control of Austin Meadows, it's not even close. This is a very rare Alavila masterclass.
Yeah, and we do have to talk about Red Wing stuff. But I have two questions I needed to ask you. Or I guess one's a statement, one's a question. One statement is like, the implications behind this deal are huge. Like, this is the first trade the Tigers have made as a buyer in a long time. Like, this is them buying at not a trade deadline, but them buying in a trade to get the team actively better to compete for a playoff spot. And obviously this happened because of the fact that Riley Green got hurt. And that leads me to my question. When Riley Green is healthy and ready to make his major league debut, who does that push out of the outfield rotation? Does that mean Robbie Grossman then suddenly becomes like your extra guy? Because I can't see you not starting Riley Green, and I can't see you not starting Akil Baddoo with how much those guys provide offensively.
Yeah, so Riley Green, it's been confirmed. Evan Petzold, great CMU alum as well, great beat writer for the Tigers. He all but confirmed when Riley Green comes back, he's the starting everyday center fielder for the Detroit Tigers. So, and Meadows is honestly not a very good defensive outfielder. So I can't imagine that he's going to get too terribly many reps in center as is. I think it's going to be mostly the Akil Badu show in there till Green comes back. Um, but when Green does come back, it's going to be Meadows in probably left, Green every day in center, and then Grossman only has this year left on his deal.
It's true.
This probably means he's not getting re-signed. And Badu, as we all know, struggles against left-handed hitting. Now he's been a lot better in the spring, but last year was very good against righties, struggled immensely against lefties. Robbie Grossman's a switch hitter. So I would imagine that it would just become a hefty platoon situation out there. Once Miggy gets 3 Ks, maybe we can let off the gas on start making sure he plays every single day. Mix in some of those, Parker. His little brother is in the Tigers single A system and is Parker Meadows. So I'm going to accidentally say Parker a lot. But that's another cool thing. He reunited with his brother, not kind of, in the organization. But Austin is probably going to get some DH reps once we have all those guys healthy as well. Too many weapons is a problem we haven't had in almost a decade. And when Green comes back, that's probably going to be our reality again. And I can't wait.
Well, it's really exciting just being a Detroit Tigers fan as well. Like, just to look at what the Tigers are doing this year. And if you want to tie this into our Red Wings conversation and just know, like, the rebuild, obviously the season hasn't started playing yet for the Tigers, so you don't know if it's actually going to pay off. But on paper, the rebuild has paid off. And the fact that you have Mize, Skubal, Manning in their sophomore seasons, now you're going to have Torkelson, and when Green gets healthy there, then you signed Javi Baez, Eduardo Rodriguez, Chaffin. Am I pronouncing that right? Chafin. I got them wrong on both accounts.
Sub 2 ERA last year.
Michael Pineda, and then, of course, Javi Baez. I mean, the team is ready to compete, and it's a nice, like, kind of, obviously baseball's a different sport, but that is what a rebuild finishing looks like. And so it gives you kind of a good perspective on where the Red Wings are at when you compare the two. The Red Wings are right now in that process where the Tigers were last year, where young guys are making their debut. They're playing better. Tigers played a lot better last year than they were than years prior, but they still weren't ready to make the playoffs. The Red Wings are in that same position right now. So when you compare the two organizations, like, the Red Wings don't feel like they're that far off. And I think hockey, obviously with them being different sports, it might take a couple more years for the Red Wings to go full buyer like the Tigers have done, especially because they have a salary cap, so you really have to time it properly. You can't just start buying whenever you feel like in hockey. But like, it is really reassuring to know that these rebuilds are coming to a close. When you have guys like Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond on your
okay, so
on the team right now.
Let's compare and contrast them then, because like we called Mize and Skubal up in halfway through 2020. Their rookie seasons were just last year. So if we're talking about like the prize prospects come up and like kind of lead the way for this new generation, this new wave of Red Wings hockey, this new wave of Tigers baseball, that would lead you to believe, and even with the Wings like struggling latter half of the season, right? They are still going to have taken a pretty sizable step from the last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's how bad they were, right? So, and the Tigers the same way, 114 losses in 2019. Like, one of the worst records of the modern era. 2020 on pace for 95, 98 in a shortened season. Like, the parallels between them, if you're talking about timing of when to buy in, that would lead you to believe that next season would be the season that the Red Wings are going to start bringing in a lot more outside help to be paired with these young kids.
Yeah, I want to believe that so bad. It's just this last month of the season, as we've talked on end at this point, has left such a sour taste in the development of this team that early in the season, I was like, yeah, full on, like, buy in this trade this offseason. So you're going to have another, at that time, I thought you're going to have like a 10 to 20 draft pick, and now you're going to have a top 10 draft pick. So I don't know now if it's still the right move. I keep thinking back to Jake Rivard and his 3 articles he wrote, and it might be another season of Band-Aid players while the young guys continue to develop, and then the next off season
Sure.
is really the one to do. But again,
It
that doesn't
also could
necessarily
be
mean that they're
it could, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it could be maybe a little more tame. We step it up a little bit this offseason, bring in a little bit more. It's a little bit more tame, but guys, then the fringe guys this year, Bergerin. I'm sure we'll talk at some point in the offseason about a lot of the Swedes that are still over there. But like as guys get closer and closer, it might be a next year trade deadline is when you evaluate. You don't have to make these decisions in the offseason necessarily. That's when you can get free agents, but you can buy in any day that's not post trade deadline regular season. That 2-month window is the only time in a calendar year you cannot decide to go all in on a season. So you have 10 months, right? So it could be hey, we get off to another hot start. Raymond and Sider take bigger steps forward. Uh, you know, Larkin continues to do what he's doing, maybe even improves even more, which would be wild. Burt continues putting up the production he is. Healthy Fabry again. You bring in a couple more defensive pieces in the offseason because Lord knows we can't last a whole nother full season with the way that the current defense is, no matter what our next season holds for us. We can't go into next season with the same defense. So maybe you just make some small 1-year prove it deal defensive moves. And then at the deadline, you look around, you go, wow, we're actually a lot better than I think people expected. Maybe now we buy in. Or like you said, maybe they stand pat next season and then that off season is when you buy in. But my point is if you're trying to look at the timing of these two teams and organizations, they are eerily similar.
No, I 100% agree. And if there was ever a time to buy in to betonline.net, it'd be right now because they have fantastic odds. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's Master Championship odds, podcasts, and reviews for all the different leagues this season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. I really did, what's funny? It's coming into this. I just wanted to riff a little bit at the beginning about the whole Austin Meadows thing. And now it's kind of just become kind of a little bit of a mini crossover episode here. And we will preview the Boston Bruins matchup here in a second. But there was one more thing I wanted to say because we were talking about when to buy as Red Wings fans. We kind of transitioned into that point. And the thought occurred to me, I'll admit, the thought occurred to me halfway through your monologue. Just because the Red Wings aren't ready to compete doesn't mean they can't start doing things to make themselves better for the seasons coming. Long term. Because we go back to that, the agency, the free agency this upcoming year. Obviously, Thomas Hertl's off the market. So you're out that great opportunity to accrue that number 2 center for this team. But John Klingberg is still going to be a free agent, I believe. I don't think he signed an extension with the Dallas Stars as to this point. And this defense still needs a lot of help. So even if you get Simon Edvinsson up next season, that's still only 2 defensemen on this team that are really going to drastically improve one pair. You still need a guy like John Klingberg to help shore up. And that would be, you sign John Klingberg and you call up Simon Edvinsson, yeah, your defense looks a hell of a lot better. But it doesn't fix the team. It doesn't make them a playoff team just by that signing alone. But you don't necessarily want to pass up on the opportunity to get a guy who's 29 years old right then and right now.
Yeah, everybody is only available in free agency the year they are available in free agency, right? You can't play we'll
buy next year.
Right, we'll reevaluate next year. That's a whole different market with a whole new set of players. If it's your guy, and you should go get him. This is something that a lot of teams do in in a lot of sports, I guess. This is I really wanted the Tigers to sign JT Realmuto a couple off seasons ago for this exact reason. Actually, we did do it in 2003. So there you go. We brought in Pudge Rodriguez the year after we lost
That's a great
119
example.
games. We had lost 119 games, and we signed Pudge Rodriguez to a at the time a huge deal, especially for a catcher. I mean, Pudge obviously ended up being a first ballot Hall of Famer and whatnot, but the implications of bringing in a perennial all-star, future Hall of Fame catcher to a team that was a loss away from being the worst team in baseball history over the course of a full season record-wise, is exactly that kind of move. You go, okay, we're going to sign you long-term because we need a catcher going forward, right? We need defense. The Red Wings need defense going forward. You can sign a guy long-term now, and he will last you through the last, whatever, year, 2 years, however long you think away we are from this rebuild officially being over. He will last you through that, and he will still be young enough to be productive and be a huge part of the team when we are then competitive again for a year or two. Like those are very important deals, and the Tigers absolutely have done that in their history, and it's worked wonders.
You signed John Klingberg this offseason when you're still not in a mode to full on, compete next year, but now you have him long term so that the season after that, when that's the year you want to really go hard in free agency and then really make trades to make this team better, you still have that guy who's going to be on your back end, and he's still in his prime.
Right.
So like that comparison you just made to the 2003 Tigers is really apt. I think that is a really great thing to bring up, because just because your team is rebuilding doesn't mean they can't buy as they begin that shift. And this year has been a large shifting year for the Red Wings. Almost at the Tigers again, a huge shifting year for the Red Wings as they take a step forward, at least in the young talent available. They've taken a major step back this last month, but the step forward certain players have taken are going to be huge, because the guys who step forward this year are your core. The guys who have been underwhelming, they're not going to be here as the core of this team for when this team is competitive again. Guys like Larkin and guys like Bertuzzi, Raymond, and Sider, those are going to be the guys you are happy are overperformed and are still performing well at this point in the season, because those are your core. So taking a small step forward this offseason by bringing in one guy to be part of your core seasons going forward is not going to by any means mean the rebuild is done, but it also means that you're not wasting an opportunity to get a guy who can be a piece going forward, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, and exactly. And like you said, there's, it's not like you're bringing in a 35-year-old to do this. Like we're talking about a dude still in his 20s. Like it's very, you signed him to a 4-year deal. Okay.
It's not like you're signing Duncan Keith, Ken Holland.
Right. You signed him to a 4-year deal. Right. Even if you think worst case scenario, there's 2 years left in this like long drawn out rebuild. That's 2 years that he's on your team, not ruining your tank if you still want to tank, because at the end of the day, he's one player on the defense. Right. And then when you're out of it and you're competitive again, you have still a top end defenseman for the first 2 years that you are truly buying and going all in for it. Those types of deals are absolutely needed, and we've seen it time and time again in this city alone.
Yeah, 100%. Let's transition now. I think is a good time, because I've exhausted my my thought there on the whole. God, it's so great that he's coming to the Detroit. I'm so pumped for the opening day.
This lineup is nuts.
So excited.
This lineup is crazy. Jonathan Scope is like your 8-hitter. Do you realize that 2 years ago, he was like maybe your best hitter on the team? And now, same production, he's your 8-hitter.
I can't believe this team, man.
This lineup is crazy.
That's so good. Oh, man. You know what else is good, Scotty?
Built Bars?
No. You got it wrong. You were so confident when you said that, too. RockAuto.com. This episode is brought to you by Rock
really
Auto.
Good, though.
They're also awesome. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now possible to for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you ever need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. They have everything you could need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck right locked down in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts you will ever need. rockauto.com. Segment 3, Tuesday edition of the Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, the Detroit Red Wings, for the fourth and final time, I believe, let me double check on that, play the Boston Bruins tonight at Little Caesars Arena. It is the fourth and final time. The season series so far, the Bruins have a 2-1 edge. The Red Wings won one game in this series, 2-1, but most recently lost 5-1 on January 2nd. And Bruins are a good team, Scotty. Third in the division. They're it's
You
gonna be a
remember
tough
like
matchup.
a month and a half ago when we were like, hey, we're on their tails, bro.
We were talking about how Moritz Seider's like, yeah, we're competing for a playoff spot, and we're like, no, this locker room hasn't given up and stuff like that, and we're like, yeah, this team's they got it, man, they got it. No, we didn't ever thought they'd actually catch the Bruins, but like we love to see the edge, and then they just stopped fighting altogether, started giving up 10 goals a game. It was wonderful.
It was wonderful, man. It was so fun, fun.
We had a really fun 3/4 of a season.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
We sure did.
This offseason is going to be really fun, man. I'm really pumped for the draft. Seriously, this is a draft. No matter where we pick, that could be pretty game changer ish.
We're getting another top 10 pick regardless, unless we fall out of the top 10, which is possible.
Right.
But let's not put that in the atmosphere.
But even if, like, I trust Steve, but also this is a deep draft. Like this is a deep draft, and on top of that, I am really excited just for another free agency period of Steve. Again, like even if it isn't the like top end, we go out and get like one of the biggest guys on the market. Another free agency period with this team is going to be a lot of fun, and I think there's going to be a lot of. I'm excited to talk about the expectations of next year. I really am, and so let's close this year out good, right? Let's close this year out on a high note.
With whatever your definition of closing it good is, because some people it is tanking.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It is a little different. For me, it's winning a few games we shouldn't. We have a pretty, honestly, brutal rest of the season. Like absolutely. We play some tough teams. So I think that, if we're putting individual players in situations where we could still snag a win or two, I think that's what's most important. We go out there and Raymond flashes a couple of nice games. Seider has a couple more Seider moments and gets us, as a big part in a couple of wins. I think that's incredibly valuable, and it's really good to go into the summer on that kind of a note.
Yeah, because the Bruins are going to be a tough matchup, and obviously, like I said, they've won. They did steal one matchup earlier in the season, but they're just such a well-rounded team, and they got a rookie goaltender in Swayman, who is leading like almost every rookie goaltender category right now. He has been unreal for them. And, of course, they have Linus Ullmark as well. They both have over a 910 save percentage each. So up and down that roster, they're a really, really freaking good team. And so I don't know. The one thing I can say about the Red Wings is, like, even though they're losing the bulk majority of the games, they're still playing close with these better teams. They're losing big to bad teams. And, sans the Pittsburgh Penguins game where they lost 11-2. You got games like Tampa last week, 2-1 overtime loss. New York, 5-4 overtime loss. So while they're giving up a lot of goals in almost every single one of these games, against the good teams, they're playing close. 7-5 loss to the Edmonton Oilers. 10-7 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're still playing close with these tough teams. They can't stop the bleeding defensively. So playing a good team like Boston, you can at least expect a lot of goals to be scored and excitement. It's when they play teams like the Senators that they don't score any goals, or the Coyotes that they don't score any goals. So expect them to go out and at least put up points. probably allow a lot of goals in, a lot of. But at the very least, it'll be an exciting game, I think, because original six matchup at Little Caesars Arena, you got that going for you at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm looking at the positive things. Like we're doing. Trying to. Don't want to be all doom and gloom all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I said this yesterday. I would like us to win out. I think that would be fun. So like I'm done with like the losing thing. That being said, if we lose, we lose, and at the end of the day, it's going to help our draft position. Um, I'm all about trying to mess around and beat the Bruins. What I want doesn't really matter. They're a significantly better team than us. But like I mean, why not? I mean, why not? At the end of the day, it's going to be a very similar situation to the last 2 months, and I don't think too many people are confident in this defense's ability to withstand the Boston Bruins, and more so, just pretty much every team we play the last 10 of the season.
Yeah, it's tough now because I look at a game like this and I don't have a lot of optimism that the Red Wings can beat the Bruins. But that's fine. It's fine because at this point in the season, whatever the outcome is the outcome. I mean, if they give up another 10 goals, I'm going to come on here, I'm going to rip them a new one again. But, like you said, if they win, I'm going to be happy because they beat the Bruins. But if they lose, okay, well, they have a better odds at, getting the number 1 overall pick. The one thing I want to know is, and we don't have much time left, but where the hell has Oleksiak been? I saw a comment on on YouTube about this, and I was like, yeah, where has he been? I haven't noticed him out there. He has not played the last 2 games. And did you know in that 11-2 Pittsburgh loss, because I looked it up, I was like, was he not playing well? In the 11-2 Pittsburgh loss, Scotty, he had a 75 expected goals for percentage. In a game in which the Red Wings allowed 11 goals, he had a 75 percentage. He was out there for 75% quality scoring attempts, shooting attempts for, rather than shooting attempts against, at 5-on-5. Not even counting special teams, at 5-on-5. So, like, and on the season with the Red Wings in 5 games, he has a 60-something. So, at 5-on-5, at the very least, he's been an effective defenseman and a depth role. Why has he been getting scratched for guys like Jordan Osterley, Danny DeKeyser, Phil Peronic? Hell, this last game against the Senators, we ran 7 D-men because Tyler Bertuzzi can't play in Canada. So, why is Oleksiak getting scratched?
That's a great question, Brian. It's a great question.
Tell me the answer.
It's going to take a much better man than I to give you that answer, to be completely honest with you.
You're the best man.
Far from true.
I'm trying to look, and now I'm looking at all strengths, because if he, does he play special teams and he was just awful on special teams? No, because even when you consider all strengths against the Pittsburgh Penguins, he still had a 60% expected goals for percentage. So why is a guy, and granted, 5 games is a small sample size. So in 5 games, he has it at 5-on-5. He has an expected goals for percentage in the 60s. And against that Pittsburgh Penguins game, at all strengths, it was 60% still. So why, if the advanced metrics say he's a positive impact on the ice rather than off the ice, is he not getting any ice time, especially when there's games where you ice 7 D-men? It doesn't seem to make sense, and it kind of has been overshadowed by the Vrana stuff we've been talking about, but it almost seems like he's playing well enough to be in the lineup, but he's not being put in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, this conversation just comes back to how you feel about coaching, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like most of the conversations we're going to have at this point in the season are ultimately going to come back to that. Right. But it's true that really does. It all comes back to Blash. And I don't understand why you bring someone in and then he does well. And then you're like, oh, just kidding. And if there's a injury, something that we're clearly not aware of at the time of this recording, then yeah, we'll eat it, whatever. That's fine. But I don't understand. I don't understand it.
Let me check too, because maybe that is part of it. Maybe there is an injury, and I just went on a whole spiel ripping it, and he's been hurt this whole time. Not according to ESPN, he's not injured. But ESPN was also wrong earlier that Thomas Grice was injured when he's still not. So let me check Sports Edge just to be safe. Real time, me looking things up, guys.
Yeah, so he's a hockey player.
And Scotty's a writer. Sorry, Scotty, I'm on a different tab. I can't pull the thing up.
Dude, you focus on what you're doing right now and not clowning me, all right? Focus on one thing at a time.
I can't clown you right now, man. It's you had too good of a day. I'd feel bad.
I had a great
No, he's not
evening.
injured according to Sports Edge. So don't know. Other news and notes: Kyle Crisculo got sent back down to the AHL after spending one game with the Detroit Red Wings. That's because Tyler Bertuzzi is going to be able to play now that we're back in America. Sam Gagner is day-to-day with an injury. He did not play in the Senators game. We did not mention that because we were too furious. So I don't know if he'll be back. That's the news and notes portion. Scotty, you want to do a tankathon spin?
Absolutely.
Let's do a tankathon spin. Let me share the screen here. I have a million tabs open, so I got to scroll down to the right one. All right. So yesterday we got it on the first try. Scotty, what's your guess at how many tries it's going to take for the Red Wings to get to
I think
number one?
today it's going to take double-digit amount of tries.
I'm going to say 5.
I'm going with 11.
11. Okay, so here's the first one. Red Wings stay at 9. Not bad.
We'll take it.
Number 2. Red Wings stay at 9. Not bad. Number 3. Red Wings stay at 9. Not bad. Number 4. Staying at 9. Jesus, they don't want to move us up.
You.
Stay the 5th. Oh, Red Wings dropped to 10. That's great. Love to see
Nice
it.
job, dude.
Shut up. Number 6. Staying at 9. 7. 10. 8. 10. 9. 9. 10. 10.
11.
11. 9. Oh my God. I'm just gonna stop keeping count. Oh, we got up to 2.
2. That might be as good as we're gonna get here.
I will keep pressing it. There we go. That was at like 18.
First try.
Hey, whoever listeners, if you were watching, count how many that was because I did not keep track. I got lazy. I stopped caring. But yeah, double digits that time. All right, Scotty. Any final thoughts, buddy?
The city of Detroit, we ball.
Every single team is on the path to greatness. That is the quote that I'm ending today's episode with.
All of them.
Thanks for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every single day. We are free and available on all platforms. That's not how that goes. Now make your second listen. Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Hosts Steele Roden and Flip Livingstone help you become the expert of your fantasy hockey league. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. All right. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow, recapping this one. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.